In this video, I'm reviewing a 12 volt, 8 kilowatt diesel heater. Welcome to the channel, More Dirt, More Distance. I purchased my 12 volt diesel heater in June. I've used it all summer and into the fall for camping, so I feel like I can give a good review of whether or not the unit is a deal or a dud. These diesel heaters are all over Amazon and eBay and are commonly referred to as Chinese diesel heaters. They're used to heat RVs, vans, buses, but I'm using mine to heat my tent when I'm out doing winter camping. The heater holds 5 liters of diesel and comes with a remote. My unit is 8 kilowatts, which is more than enough to heat the tent. It has a temperature range from 64 degrees to 86 degrees. As far as the dimensions go, the unit is 14.5 inches by 5.9 inches by 14.8 inches and weighs 20 pounds. I bought an all-in-one unit, but you can buy kits so you can customize it for your particular project. There are a ton of videos of people putting the units into weather-resistant toolboxes so they can carry it around and keep it safe from the elements, something I'm thinking about doing in the future. These units aren't complex at all, which means you can do a variety of things with them. I'm planning on using mine to also heat my garage during the winter when I'm working on my Gladiator. I decided to use a diesel heater out of safety concerns. With a propane heater, you have to worry about burning your tent down, and you also have issues with condensation building up in the tent. With the diesel heater, you don't have to worry about any of that. The heating element is enclosed and outside of the tent, and all this blowing in is hot, dry air, so you don't have the fire risk and you don't have the issues with condensation, which are both pluses for me. If you're interested in the diesel heater, I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can purchase one for yourself. Setting up the units is super easy, but there are a few things you need to know. You'll need to connect a cigarette plug if you plan on using the 12 volt connection in your car. If this review has been helpful, please like and subscribe so you don't miss my next video. I'm curious to know how many of you guys out there are camping in the winter, and if so, how are you staying warm? Let me know in the comments. You have to prime the system with diesel fuel before turning it on, and the instructions are not easy to understand at all, so you're going to want to refer to YouTube videos to really understand the unit. At least that's what I had to do. I'm not going to go into the setup and operation because I've already done a video on that. I'll put a link to the video in the description. There are several different brands, but they all basically operate the same way. Having the diesel heater has totally changed camping for me. It's a much better experience. I bought mine in June, and you wonder why would you buy a heater in the summer? It's because I like to camp at high elevations, 10,000, 11,000 feet. At that elevation, the weather is unpredictable. It can snow in July. During the day, the weather can be perfect in the 70s, but at night it can be close to freezing. With the heater, you don't have to worry about bundling up in heavy clothes or blankets or need a really expensive, thick sleeping bag. If you have kids, they'll keep them nice and warm. In fact, there's some times where I get too hot. It's also extended the camping season for me. Now I can get out earlier and stay out later. This year I went camping at the Great Sand Dunes National Park around Halloween, but wasn't worried even though it starts to snow typically around this time of year. It was cold, but it was nice and comfortable inside the tent. Since I'm keeping the unit in the shell for now, I have to protect it from the elements. I do that by pulling down the tailgate and putting it underneath the truck, and it's worked well so far. I'm powering my unit using the car battery, but I do have a solar panel to help keep the battery charged so I don't kill it. The unit is also supposed to shut down if the power source is getting too low. Now I want to cover a few of the questions that I get and I had myself before purchasing the unit. The first one being, how loud is it? Well, it is loud. The fuel pump is constantly ticking, and if you have it up really on the higher levels, it's ticking really fast. In addition to the ticking, there's the noise from the fan and the blower, especially when it's on the higher settings, really trying to get that heat up going. It doesn't really bother me all that much though. Some background noise when I'm trying to sleep doesn't bother me, but it can bother some people. Next question is, how much fuel does it use? Well, it's a 5-liter tank, and you can get 3 nights on that 5 liters, and I'd have mine running anywhere from 10 to 12 hours. I kick it on the medium-high setting when it's really pumping more fuel just to kind of get it up and running, warm up the tent. And after the tent's got to a nice temperature, then I knock it down to the lowest setting just to kind of help maintain it. And I've been able to do 3 nights on 5 liters without a problem. One thing that is good to know with the heater is that when you turn it off, it doesn't stop immediately. The fan is going to go for a while, and you just want to let it do that. You don't want to unplug it just because you want it off. The fan is going when you push the off button, trying to get the rest of the excess heat out of the unit and to cool it down. So let the fan go, let it turn off on its own. Don't get worried when you push the off button and it doesn't completely turn off. Now to discuss some of the issues I've had with the unit. When I first took it out on the first night when I was out camping, I turned it on and it was running, it was going, and all I was getting out of it was white smoke billowing out of it. It wasn't producing any heat, just more white smoke, white smoke, white smoke. The fix I found for that is to really crank up the heat when I turn it on. So I turn on the unit and I immediately set the temperature up to medium high. So that way it really gets pumping, really gets that igniter going, and then it pumps white smoke when it first initially starts. Then when it kicks on and ignites, the white smoke immediately stops and it's up and running, and I haven't had any problems after that. So the key to fixing that, start it off high, get it nice and warm, then it's going to burn the fuel efficiently. One issue I had was with the error code 5 for overheating. This was the first time I took it out, and it was giving me that error code, and I couldn't figure out why, because it was a cool night. It was running on the slowest setting, and I couldn't figure out why it was saying it was overheating. And the best that I could figure out is that these units are a little sensitive. So what I did is that I took the hose that I had connected to it and took all the kinks out of it and let it run smoothly so the air could flow through. After that, I've never gotten the error code again. Now, talking about error codes, there have been times I've received codes that are kind of random and I couldn't figure out why it was doing them. And basically what I did is what I do with all electronics. I unplugged it and plugged it back in, and the error codes went away and the unit continued to work without any issues. And so far, that's all it's taken to get it to work if I've received these random error codes. So my unit is definitely touchy, but that being said, it's never failed on me. Is the unit a deal or a dud? Now that's a tough decision, because just how I talked about it being touchy, having occasional error codes and having to unplug and plug it back in, that is definitely a downside. But on the other hand, I've had to do that with every piece of electronics I've ever owned. And after I did it, it worked. And it's never left me out in the cold without heat. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and say the heater has been a deal. To see how to set up the unit and its basic operations, click the end screen now.